Hey everybody, today's video is a little bit different and I'm so excited to do this video. So as you can tell by the title above me, this is a review of the Nars Naturally Radiant Longwear Foundation, or is it Natural Radiant? In any case, it's the new Nars one, and what's different about this review is that I'm doing it in collaboration with a YouTuber that I am actually subscribed to and really enjoy watching, Stephanie Marie. Stephanie Marie reached out to me recently and asked if I'd be interested in doing a collaboration video, and of course I said yes, and I will link her channel over there and down below. So we thought it'd be fun to do this kind of video together because we have a lot in common, and yet there are a couple key things that are very different about us. So what we have in common is that we are both over the age of 40. We both are mothers of sons, although she also has a lovely daughter. Our sons are actually, her oldest and my youngest are the exact same age. We both have a love of SEC colleges and SEC football, although we do not root for the same team. We can join together to root against Alabama. I joke, like a little. That's where the similarities generally end. The main thing we have that is different is I have very dry skin and she has combo oily skin. So we thought it'd be fun to road test the same foundation and give you each of our experiences. So I strongly urge you to watch Stephanie's video, which is linked over there. Is that the direction I pointed? I have listed it in the description box below, and of course, you must subscribe to Stephanie. You're missing out. Another YouTuber unknowingly contributed to this collaboration, Christina Brawley, sent me all of her little deluxe samples in my shade, so which I really appreciate, so I did not actually have to go out and buy it. So before I get into my opinions and my experiences with the foundation, let me tell you some facts. So it is $49 for 1 ounce. It comes in 33 shades. So I'm very pleased with their shade range, everything from the fairest to the fair to the deepest of the deep and everything in between, it is there. Its claims say it is a natural, radiant finish, transfer resistant, sweat resistant, fade resistant, non-drying. It is supposed to be a high coverage foundation that feels lightweight on the skin. It's supposed to smooth the look of your skin over time. It's medium to full buildable coverage. And I haven't tried to see if it's actually transfer resistant. So hang on, let's do that right now. Yeah. I mean, there's some like leftover residue, but we can concur that yes, it is transfer resistant. Okay, so I have worn this and applied this 3 different ways, and I will show you the footage of each of them. So the first time I tried it, I used it with my favorite application method, because for me, when I'm looking at a new foundation, I just want to do it the same way I do all my foundations. I don't want to have to use a special technique or a special tool. So my go-to way to apply foundation is to use like a flat top kabuki brush, and my favorite is the It Cosmetics version of that. I will list that below if you're interested. So now I don't have the real bottle where you do like a pump. So I measured it out, spread it out all over my face, and then kind of stippled and swirled it all over my face. And I can absolutely tell you the claims that it's medium to full buildable coverage are entirely accurate, and a little bit of this does go a long way, and I found that it was not cakey at all. It left with a nice, beautiful, I'd say satin finish, and I would define it as radiant in that as I turn my head, as the light hits the high points of my face, there was a natural, almost like a natural highlight to my face without looking shiny or sweaty or anything like that. So I wore that a few times using the brush method, and I do have some footage of me wearing it at the end of the day, so I will pop in and include that now. I've had this foundation on a total of 11 hours. I have not touched it up. I can't speak English. I haven't used any concealer or powder. I haven't even really looked in the mirror except for these checks. This is how it looks. I'll just let you look at me up close, and I think it's really good. A little separation here. It's getting a little dry on the end of my nose, dry around the edge of my nose. It has a drier feel to it, I'd say, than other foundations, but it is a long wearing foundation, so that's fair, and I have very dry skin. I didn't do any kind of extra moisturizing or priming of the skin, so maybe next time. Okay, then I admittedly only did this once because I didn't really like how it looked this way. The other way I tried it is applying it with a damp beauty blender with almost, you should always use a damp beauty blender. You should never use a beauty blender dry, but you really want to get all the water squeezed out of it so there's no like wetness left after you touch it. So I did apply it as well with the beauty blender. It really shears it out, which if that's something you're going for, then I guess that's great. But the whole point of this foundation is medium to full coverage. So to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I didn't like the coverage. I felt it was a little streaky, not particularly even. But I could build it up, and I did get a nice, pretty finish after a couple of layers of bouncing that sponge all over my face. It pretty much wore the same way as applying it with the brush, but the foundation, the coverage was more even using a brush. And then finally, I read the directions. Go figure. The directions actually say to put it on your fingers, warm it up like a pearl size amount, warm it up with your fingers, and then press it onto your face and kind of rub it into your face, focusing on one area at a time. Because I will say this is a fast drying foundation, so you can't just put it all over your face and then work on one area. By the time you get to another side of your face, this is already dried in place. So that's how I'm wearing it today, following the directions. And I will say that the finish is a little different, I found that way. Applying it with my fingers, I found the finish to be a little less satin, more demi-matte almost. You know, it's not a full-on matte finish because there's this natural radiance. I do have highlighter on, but there's a natural radiance to it, but it's less so when applied with your fingers. So I do have some photographs, just like Stephanie does. She does such a good job with this. I took a photograph of me with a flash, and as you can see, there is no flashback, but to be fair, my skin tone and my end of the spectrum, there very rarely is with any. In fact, in my experience, I've never had flashback. And then I took it again without the flash, just so you can see how it photographs. I did also try wearing it a few times with a primer and directly on top of sunscreen, and it worked well with both of those. So that's good to know. It does play well with others. Let's address the claims. Okay, first of all, 16-hour wear time. I think 100%. It definitely did not rub off. I a few times wore it when I ate like oily foods at lunch, and I'm not a clean eater. I got food all over my face. Even with repeatedly wiping my chin after each bite. I remember specifically, I went out to lunch with my friend Layla from Prescribed Design, and I got a grilled cheese sandwich with Gruyere and fig preserves and prosciutto in there. I mean, it was just a big old grease ball it wasn't the healthiest choice, but it was very delicious. My point being, I had like, you know, oil and butter and whatever running out of my mouth basically. And I kept wiping my mouth after every bite, and my foundation did not budge. It's beautiful. It wears well throughout the day. It does not break down. It held up tremendously well. The coverage is beautiful. Aside from a couple of very stubborn blemishes that I have, I almost didn't need concealer. And even for the really bad blemishes, I was just being hypersensitive. I probably could have skipped concealer that day. It does not need powdering because it's more of a satin to demi-matte finish. If you have dry skin, you really don't need to powder it. I did powder under my eyes to set my concealer. I do like to powder right along the jawline because I tend to lean and have my phone, and I worry about transfer and wearing, and neither of those things happened. And as you can see, when I did this little test just a few minutes ago, it doesn't transfer. So I don't know that you necessarily need to wear powder when you're wearing this. Because I have dry skin though, I do feel like this is better suited for me when it's a little more humid out. I did wear it on a day when it was raining. It looked amazing. I literally stood out in the rain for 2 hours and my face makeup looked great. So the only con that I have for this foundation for dry skin people specifically is because of its long wear nature. I was wearing it many days in a row, and I found I started to get little, like not cystic acne, but little blemishes all over my face. And I remember back to when I used to religiously wear the Estee Lauder Double Wear, that started happening when I would wear the Estee Lauder Double Wear too many days in a row. I just don't think my skin in particular is a big fan of repeatedly using long wear foundation. This is a great foundation for special occasions. So I think it actually, I'm talking myself into buying a bottle. Okay, I am. I think it's a great thing to have on hand for special occasions, for days when you know you need it to last under certain weather conditions in the summer. For me, for filming, I think it looks beautiful filming. So, okay, yeah, I would recommend it. I would not recommend this as your everyday foundation, but it's a nice thing to add to your arsenal. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you are a beauty junkie like me anyway, and you could use any justification for getting another bottle of foundation. Final thoughts, because I'm blabbering on and on. Yes, I would recommend this for dry skin, not for everyday use. I would reserve it for special occasions and special weather conditions, and I think it's a nice thing to have when those moments arise. I would not recommend wearing it every day. I think it wears well. It does everything that it says it's gonna do, which is always nice when a product lives up to it. It lives up to its claims. I cannot talk today. I'm on allergy medication and I feel like my head is going to explode. I know that's a terrible excuse, but that's what's happening here. So yes, I would recommend it with some caveats. Please, please, please head over to Stephanie's channel and see what she thinks. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll be heading over there myself. I can't wait to hear how it works out for oily skin people. If you have had any experience with the Nars Natural Radiant Foundation, I would love to hear what you think. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you're interested in more collab videos with Stephanie, or if there's anyone else you want to see me do some work with. This is the best way to do things when we don't live in the same city, is we do, complimentary videos, and I think it's a lot of fun, and we can meet some new people to watch. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to read your comments, and I'll see you in the next one.